Last time on the Embur channel, we had a nice lengthy look at the Union Jack, how it came to be, and how it found itself into the flag-waving frenzy it wound up in over much of 2025. I've talked about how England, Scotland and Ireland all melded into one big tumultuous tapestry, but some of you raised the question about something I completely forgot to mention, something that, as somebody that talks about these islands a lot, I'm actually quite guilty of skipping over. Wales, or Cymru, or Cambria if you want. Well, I'm here to rectify that. As much as Wales has been strapped to England for the last half a millennia, it's still as much a realm with its own history that deserves to be treated and respected just as much as anywhere else in Britain. If you haven't watched the previous video, you'll probably be much more filled in on the topic. Plus, it makes for a nice cohesive watch, and it makes the algorithm like me much more. So, go grab yourself a big ol' leak and hop on board the mine train with me as we finally discuss our Welsh friends on the other side and see just why they're nowhere to be found on the Union Jack. Yaki da! I hit the thing. Hang on. Just as with England, Scotland and Ireland, there's been a few flags that have represented Wales in its entirety over the years, some dynastic, some religious, and of course, some with big old dragons. The first flag we can realistically call a flag for Wales is the banner of the House of Aberfro and its founder, Llywelyn the Great. Llywelyn was the first great unifier of medieval Wales, transforming his little realm of Gwynedd into England's recognised Principality of Wales. He carried the banner with 4 lions, 2 red and 2 yellow. This banner was used as the banner for Wales up until the Principality's absorption into the English crown around the beginning of the 14th century. These days, you can still see it used as a patriotic flag in the region of Gwynedd, on the Royal Badge of Wales, and on the arms of the Prince of Wales. In a way, it's the closest thing Wales has to a royal standard. Another wildcard flag that gets used is St David's Cross, a blank background with a yellow cross. Nobody's entirely sure where the flag comes from actually. From what I can gather, it's a fairly recent invention, likely from somewhere within the last 130 years or so. It's never been seen much as a civic flag for Wales, relegated mostly to religion and sporting events. Yet, despite all of those, there's one flag that cuts above all the rest in all these cases, a favourite of many, the red dragon. Dragons as a symbol of power in Wales date back to the Romans, who are believed to have yoinked the symbolism from the Dacian people in modern-day Romania. By the time of the Roman withdrawal, the native Britons had pretty handedly embraced the idea, personifying their own great leaders as dragons. Even up to the 15th century, Owain Glyndwr, the last native prince of Wales, an ancestor of our old friend Llywelyn, flew a banner with his own personified golden dragon in battle against the armies of England, immortalising perhaps one of the greatest OCs in human history. Though, the red dragon that we know today comes from the Historia Brittonum, legally distinct from our old friend Geoffrey of Monmouth's similarly named work, a history manuscript? It's a fanfiction, I'm going to call it a historical fanfiction. Written around 828, in the manuscript, the red dragon is presented as an unknowingly destructive figure, repeatedly causing the destruction of a fortification built atop itself. The dragon is found to be in constant battle with a near-identical white dragon. The dragons, of course, are presented as representing the conflict in Wales at the time, with the red dragon as a stand-in for themselves, and the white dragon as a stand-in for the Anglo-Saxons. These days, outside of that context, the white dragon has unfortunately been co-opted by far-right groups, attempting to twist both the story and the symbolism into Germanic supremacist nonsense. It's worth noting, while the Anglo-Saxons had dragons of their own, this particular symbol was never used by them, nor has it ever been used to represent England the nation of any sort. The red dragon, however, would resurface as a symbol under the Tudors. King Henry VII was born in Pembrokeshire in Wales, and so on his personal banner he placed the old red dragon from the Historia Brittonum atop the colours of the House of Tudor, along with the roses of York and Lancaster that he had recently united. You see where this is going? It'd be finally used again as a symbol for Wales in about 1800, when King George III issued a royal warrant assigning the design as a badge to represent the Prince of Wales. This would be the closest thing Wales would get to having its own recognised national symbol for the whole of the Victorian era, and up until 1959, when the flag was given official status. But all of this begs the question, why was it never given a place on the Union Jack or the Royal Standard, just as Scotland and Ireland were? It's an easy thing to wonder. After all, The Tudors were Welsh, weren't they? Surely they'd incorporate their homeland into any sort of status within the Kingdom of England, or even the United Kingdom, right? Well, unfortunately it's not that simple. During his reign, King Henry VIII constantly found himself at odds with a group of nobles called the Marcher Lords, a set of borderland nobles who were put in place across much of West England and South Wales, particularly based around the city of Chester, to ensure English hegemony over the lands of Wales. During the medieval period when they were set up, they were the most effective way of subduing the Welsh chiefs and princes, but by the early modern period, they'd become a nuisance to the Crown's authority. Henry wanted none of it, and sought to bring the Welsh lands fully under his control, and that required not just unity with the Crown, but full assimilation into England. Wales as a political entity was to no longer exist, with the Welsh people being given the rights and status of Englishmen, for better or for worse. This will was finally given royal assent on the 14th of April 1536, with the Laws in Wales Acts. Of course, this meant that Welsh identity and symbolism was practically abolished wholesale in any official matter, meaning that when the Union of the Crowns took place some 65 years later, and the Acts of Union 100 years after that, Wales's place in it all was just as part of England. After all, the Union Jack might have been made to represent the union of two nations, but it was always about the crowns, first and foremost, something Wales always lacked, being a principality and all. So, if you want to be particularly snarky, this is the flag that represents Wales on the Union Jack, and this in the Royal Standard. I mean, hey, there's two of them here. I think this one is Welsh. By the end of the millennium, the Laws in Wales Act was finally repealed, giving Wales its first proper taste of nationhood in half a millennia, yet no flags or standards were changed. In 2007, the Member of Parliament for Wrexham proposed the idea of adding the Welsh dragon to the centre of the Union Jack. The idea gained mild traction at the time and became a topic of discussion, with many members of Parliament agreeing that it should be considered. Unfortunately, like most things in Parliament, there just wasn't much political will for such a thing. Maybe someday in the future you'll be able to sit down in a beer garden in Carnarvon with your back to the sea, and as you look up at that castle, you'll see a flag of the whole island with a blood-red dragon, maybe still on a field of green. Unfortunately, I think the United Kingdom has bigger things to worry about at this point in time. Sorry. Thank you for watching, and thank you to the patrons who have helped me along the way. Thomas O'Mearan, Theo, Winged Harmony, Chibi Commie Goose, Toasted Origins, Sado Skirt, Red Panda, and Tetra Lindenbaum.